In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So I was reading from this book, Jesus Wars, and this is basically the second book that's confirmed to me, like, how Cyril is basically a charlatan. Claims to have special insight on the Christology, yet he doesn't. Like here in this chapter, not the Mother of God, he's asking a question. Cyril was in danger of seeing Christ as purely divine visitor with no real human qualities, a non-resident alien. Nestorius' supporter Ibis of Edessa reported that Cyril, quote, slipped up and was found falling into the teaching of Apollinarius, end quote. As Ibis recalled, the Gospels spoke of Christ's body as a temple, suggesting a distinction between a divine reality and a human frame. Cyril, however, failed to understand this. Like Apollinarius, Cyril wrote, quote, that the very God, the Word, became man in such a way that there is no distinction between the temple and the one who dwells in it, end quote. And just as Nestorius also noted how cynically Cyril and his followers misquoted him for partisan effect. And Nestorius, they hated, was not the real person, but a straw man constructed from passages wrenched out of context. One of Nestorius' sermons had declared that, quote, Mary, my friends, bore not the Godhead, she bore a man, the inseparable instrument of Godhead, end quote. Cyril misquoted that remark to read, quote, Mary, my friends, bore not God, end quote. And as Nestorius objected, quote, here to say and not to say, quote, here to say God and not to say the Godhead makes very much difference, end quote. It did indeed. And down here just talks about Cyril's crusade and how he used like his political influence and the monastics and stuff like that, and all the people that favored him and stuff, like how he wielded political power to gain favor and stuff. But the fact that he said that, like, this is that the very God, the Word, became man in such a way that there is no distinction between the temple and the one who dwells in it, which is absurd. As I told you, he basically says that there's no distinction. Like, it's almost like he doesn't care to make that distinction, which is an important distinction. So it's from this kind of stupidity that you have all this confusion. I said that the human person can be the person called God. That's really what you mean. Like I was arguing with this other guy on the verse in Acts. You know, whose blood is it? Is it a man or is it God's? I'm like, you know that God does not bleed, right? And so you're going to appeal to the human nature, which is further proof that it is the man who dies, not God. So the fact that you say that God dies in the human nature is like saying God dies in his human temple. It almost sounds as though if the deity can die and yet the man not die or something. It sounds ridiculous. That's basically why, because he don't make this distinction. That's why I said that he's like a charlatan, to be honest. Anyway, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. Thank you and God bless.